welcome to MsVegan's kitchen. So today we are gonna make pumpkin walnut cinnamon rolls. Yes, these bad boys right here with homemade icing. So simple, so delicious. Let's get started. Okay, so first up, we have thawed our pastries. We're gonna roll them out. Oh, but first we wanna flour the surface a little bit. That way it doesn't stick when we're rolling it out. A little flour there. Little flour here. These are so great because you can keep them on hand in the freezer, so whenever last minute you want to make a nice little pastry, you can just thaw them on the counter for about 40 minutes and you're ready to go. So I'm just going to get these a little bit bigger so I have more room to put the goodness, like the sugar, the cinnamon, and the pumpkin. All right. Oh, and the walnuts. You can also omit the walnuts if you have a nut allergy. It's simple. Still just as good. Okay. What we have here is we have roughly about 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Here I've got roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of white sugar. I'm gonna mix that in there. Then here we have a mix of cinnamon and nutmeg. You can also use a store-bought pumpkin spice that's already made for you. We're gonna mix that. Now we need to grab a spoon, mix that all together. Ooh, it's already smelling like fall time. Fall is always about pumpkin, but the good thing is you can always find store-bought pumpkin and you can make a pumpkin dish any time of the year. Okay, so that's all mixed together. What we want to do now is I have about 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and we're going to brush the pastry generously with a good amount of the butter. Now there's several plant-based butters on the market now, so whichever you prefer, it'll work just as good. And if you're really creative, you can make your own butter. I love a good cinnamon roll, and the best thing is you can make it in the morning and your whole house smells so good. And if you're really, really adventurous, what you can do is you can make your own dough, but I like to use the pastry puff. Okay, next up, our pumpkin. This is about a half of a can of pure pumpkin. That's all it is, it's just pure pumpkin. So we're gonna go ahead, spread that generously over the butter. Ooh. Yum. Anybody else just love pumpkin? So delicious. So much you can do with it. And if you have dogs, it's always great to have on hand for when they have an upset stomach. So I usually always had a can of pumpkin in my cupboard, ready to go. All right, so we've got our pumpkin mix spread evenly over our pastry. Now, the good part, the brown sugar, the white sugar, and the cinnamon. Spread that, sprinkle it generously. We're gonna leave a little bit of the edge right here with not too much on it, so that when we roll it up, it doesn't just get all over the place, which is not a bad thing either, because it's all yummy. All right. Now, I dare you to do this without making a mess. Almost there. Now, the fun thing about this is you can make it yours. So if you don't like too much sugar, you can just use less. And if you don't want to use walnuts, you can use pecans, whatever you feel like, or you can leave them out. It'll still be just as good. So now we're going to sprinkle just a little bit of crushed walnuts. I bought them whole. Actually, they were gifted to me by a farm. And now I crushed them and added them to this pastry. All right, just a little bit because you don't want too much. A little bit goes a long way. Now the fun part. Move these out a little bit. Let's get to rolling. So you take this end. We're gonna roll, roll, rolling down the mountain. I don't know the lyrics for that, but you know what I'm talking about. From Clueless. All right, almost there. See, this is the part that you wanted to make sure you didn't put anything on so that we can wrap it up. I failed to do that, but it'll get there. All right, boom. There, our first cinnamon roll is ready to go. Now we have the second one. I'm gonna do that really quick and then I'll meet you at the cutting. So we have both of the pastry doughs filled with their fillings and rolled up. I've got the oven preheated to 350. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut them. Each roll is gonna be 8 cinnamon rolls. So we're gonna cut them into pieces and place them on this board. Something I love are these silicone mats. They're great, they're reusable, they're heat resistant, and an easy cleanup. So that's what I have lined on this cookie sheet. We're gonna go ahead and start with our first one. Ooh, look at that. Yummy. So we're gonna go ahead and place that down. One there. Second, let's go ahead and just slice these and then we'll start placing. 2, 3. Roll it a little bit so they keep their form. Almost. I'm already so anxious to try these. And I know the second they get in the oven, oh, it's gonna smell so good in this kitchen. Okay, so the first roll I have cut, I'm gonna form these a little bit so they get more round because they got flattened. Place those on the tray, make sure there's enough room for all of them because this is gonna make, with the 2 pastry dough sheets, it's gonna make 16 cinnamon rolls. So you can easily cut this recipe in half if you only wanna make 8 cinnamon rolls, but they go quick, so 16 it is for me. All right, almost there. Spread these out evenly. Boom, 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 boom. Wipe our hands. Get on the second roll. Whoa, don't lose a try. All right, 8, we got 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure I do it evenly. All right, now spread them out. Wow, looks so good. Boom, 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 yum. It might not be perfectly on the sheet pan, but that's all right. So we've got our 2 pastry sheets filled with the brown sugar, cinnamon, regular sugar, walnuts, and pumpkin. Whoa, don't lose it. And the oven is preheated to 350. So I'm gonna go ahead and place those in there. It'll be about 15 to 20 minutes, so keep an eye on it. After 15 minutes, they should be spreading and turning golden brown. So let's get these in the oven. I'm gonna go ahead and set the timer for 15 minutes. That way I can check it at 15, and if it has to take a few more minutes, I'll keep an eye on it. While that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and gather the ingredients to make the icing, so I'll meet you right back here and we'll get that started. Okay, so our cinnamon rolls are in the oven cooking. Now we're gonna make the icing. So here I have roughly half a cup of room temperature cream cheese. And we're gonna add in roughly 3/4 cup to one cup of powdered sugar. Bum, bum, bum. And then about a teaspoon of vanilla. Then we're just gonna blend this together. Try not to get the powdered sugar all over the place. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to this little whisk just to make sure there's no clumps. That's why it's really important to make sure that you're using a room temperature cream cheese so that it blends in with the powdered sugar and the vanilla to form a nice creamy icing. Almost there. Great arm workout, may I suggest? And you can easily pull out your hand mixer, but I like to put a little grease into it. All right, so we're almost there. See, whoop, that'll go perfectly on top of the nice warm cinnamon rolls. So I'm gonna check on those and meet you back at the icing station. Oh wow, if you could only smell it in here. Where's the smell-o-vision? Okay, so our pumpkin walnut cinnamon rolls are freshly out of the oven, perfectly golden brown. They took a little bit longer to cook, so I'd say roughly 25-30 minutes is closer to the cooking time. Got crumbs. But every oven will vary, so just keep an eye on them. Now, the fun part is the icing. I'm gonna use a little bit of a smaller tool. And you wanna do this when they're semi-warm, so that way the icing just melts perfectly on top. So let's get to icing. Now, I don't know about you, but I am an icing person. So you can never have too much icing. Now, the question is, make these for breakfast or dessert, or both. You make them for breakfast and then save some for dessert. You make some for dessert and then save some for breakfast. But it is looking amazing. Oh my goodness. Let's go. They're pretty sticky on the bottom with all that yumminess. If they're not too hot, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go for you. I'm gonna go ahead and bite and not pull apart because I only have one hand. But that, look at the other side. Oh boy. And if you also, you can sprinkle some fresh walnuts on top if you want a little garnish. I might do that. Ready? Oh my goodness. The sugar has almost turned into like a candy. So it's sticky, it's gooey, it's got the crunch of the walnuts, and then that sweet icing on top. Well, there you have it. Our pumpkin walnut cinnamon rolls. Super easy, super delicious. Don't mind me while I go take a seat on the couch and finish the cinnamon rolls. Thanks for joining, guys. See you next time.